Alexandra, thank you for being today with us in the Business Room podcast. I wanted to start by saying that it's amazing to have the startups from the EMPO Women program run by Startup Wise Guys here in Romania, the How to Web conference. And I wanted to ask you on this topic, how did you decide to bring the demo day of the program in Bucharest?
I have to start from slightly correcting the information because we are one of the 4 consortium partners, and all the decision for Bucharest was done by the main consortium partner, which is not us, which is the company called Sploro, and they were actually deciding between several different conferences in Europe, and they were assessing different events. And one of the options was in Germany, that is happening the same time, the Bits and Pretzels. And they were communicating with the organizers of several different conferences we had the timeline of end of September, beginning of October. They were assessing all possible conferences in this period, and Romania offered the best value pretty much for startups. And the organization was really, really good. So so it's not us, so it's the main consortium partner.
It's interesting to see sometimes the behind of the scenes of decisions that startup programs are taking for the best interest of the startups.
And I think it's also important to say that it's not the price-related decision, but it's the value-related decision.
Correct.
And we were talking yesterday with a colleague that on the event what we had and the local support that we had, like Germany wouldn't move a finger to help in so many different levels, and it was actually really good here by the quality of the organization that we got as support as the local partners. It was insanely good.
And on this point, because you made a really important point, the value, which counts much more than any money that an entity can give. Can you tell us a little bit about the resources that Startup Wise Guys offers to startups, and what are the resources that you consider important for startups nowadays?
Yes. We remain we're 13 years old, and we remain the investor first VC with the program, with the support of the acceleration program. Accelerator is our core value and the core strategy, but we're investor first, which means that in our before joining Wise Guys, I was working for just a VC. Without the program, we were investing in early seed stage companies. So when I moved to Wise Guys, I moved to a one step earlier, and it took me quite a long period of time to adjust to see why you're giving money to people that don't have revenue and that don't have anything and that don't know how to talk with investors, etc. Because I had my first years of working on a venture capital was on with startups that already had 20,000 monthly recurring revenue sharp, not like floating.
And I'm assuming well-educated founders in terms of selling, of pitching to VCs already.
Exactly. And then you join the ones that, raw, just from there.
Idea stage, prototype stage.
We're not that much on the idea and prototype stage. We still have most of the founders that have some revenue, but it's still really, really early. And then back to the question of the value, last year, I personally finished I went through the educational program for venture capitalists that is called Newton Venture Program. It is a UK London-based program. It's an online program with the UK headquarters, London headquarters. So by the time I applied to that program, I was already in VC for 9 years. And I still went there, and it was for half a year, and I still learned tremendous amount of things. Again, back to your question. There's a lot of misconception or misperception about the accelerators. Many founders would say like, hey, what can I learn if I've done business before? Why would I do an educational whatever? Because I know how to do stuff, whatever. And there's actually a lot of negotiations and explanation that is still happening, that what we do is explaining why the program matters. I honestly believe that the amount of mentorship and coaching that one person can get with an acceleration program, especially in the early days of the company, it doesn't matter if if that person had the business before or didn't have the business before, because just the support of mentors, the support of brainstorming with someone who is fully focused on your problem and who is with you in the room or in the Zoom call and trying to help you, and this is a 50 people or 70 people, it doesn't matter, with different expertise, that you're getting just there as a founder who are dedicating their time to support, to help with your problem for your 3 to 4 months of your time. I think it's insanely important. And actually, the feedback that we got unexpectedly, statistically, the best feedback we are getting is from founders that did businesses before, that had the businesses before. So not from the first-time founders, but from, I would call it, mature, closer to 40 years old people who did businesses before. And they're usually statistically are the happiest within the program.
That's interesting, because normally, if they've done a business before, they would probably start from the assumption that they know most of the stuff that the accelerator would propose them to learn about. I've had cases like this in accelerator programs where certain second-time founders were coming in with a bit of, I would call it, knowledge arrogance, saying, I don't need to learn the business model canvas again, because I know it, I've done it in my previous business. And then when you actually dive in a one-to-one expertise session with them, they start realizing new things, and then they are probably, as you said, the most grateful, because it impacts their business in a very pragmatic way at the end of the day.
I had a funny story just recently, a few weeks ago, because there's the thing that we do, there are a couple of sprints that we do.
Yes.
And a few weeks ago, I was on the board meeting, with was not the board meeting, but the investors meeting with one of the recent investments, and they were like pivoting and trying to find the new way and everything. And there was a bunch of 3-4 investors in the call with them, and one of the investors asked if that founder knows the Google Sprint principle for the methodology for their product evaluation, and he's like, yeah, well, we will look into it. And I know that this startup finished our program like 2 months ago or something. And I'm writing him separately in WhatsApp later, hey, so this thing that you were just recommended by another investor, this is this week that you missed in the program, where we really wanted you to be, but you said that you were too busy. So that was a thing. And he's like, oh,
that's
yeah,
very interesting.
Thanks. so that's...
So how much, exactly on this point, how much you would say that the expertise, the mentorship, the help that you're providing startups is a hands-on rather than just a theoretical, let's say, entrepreneurship academical knowledge? Much more hands-on?
I don't think there's any academical knowledge that we have. I mean, of course, there's still theory that you can listen to, but there is the whole principle. One of the differences with what we do, and that's why we need to explain it every time, because there's a lot of accelerators in the world, in Europe, etc., that do acceleration first, and then they decide which startup to invest in. But we're a VC first, which means that for us, we invest first, and then the startups go through the acceleration program, which means that we cannot afford giving them just the academical knowledge, because we're already an investor.
Absolutely.
By the time that when they go to the program. So it's our interest to give them their solution for their companies, because we will benefit from it already. We cannot choose the best ones after the program, because we already chose them before the program. Right now, in the next fund that we will have next year, we're adjusting a little bit the program with even more, so given even more this opportunity to choose compared to how it was even up until now. So now we'll have We'll test out the new approach with still having the classical program, which still has a lot of hands-on support for primarily first-time founders, and then for the second-time founders or third, whatever founders, yeah, they will have the choice, a bit more freedom of choice. Either they go do the same program, or they cherry pick the particular content pieces from the program. We can recommend them. Okay, hey guys, we see that you have this gap. Please take a look at this part of of this program. But in general, it will be like more, yeah, like set menu and a la carte menu for those who can afford to choose. Yeah, but it's anyways, all of that anyways is driven by the startups' needs of what they have.
And speaking about the methodologies of helping startups, obviously you're speaking about the VC first model, then you have in Europe and other parts of the world incubators, accelerators of all sorts. I wanted to ask you, specifically for Europe, your perspective. How much do you think that the space for startup programs, whatever their methodology is crowded, or if there's still space for a specific niche, industry, typology of startup program?
I think it's very much. In general, I believe in education. Maybe in the innovative education, maybe not that much in the academic education. But I'm biased because that's what I. If I wouldn't be biased, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. So,
Yeah.
so I do it because I believe that this is important and this is helpful. A few weeks ago, months ago or something, I was on the ecosystem meeting in a different country where we are a partner. And in that meeting, it is a different country. It's not Estonia. And on that meeting, there was a collaborative meeting between different ecosystem players, including competitors, including different acceleration programs, different incubation programs, different university programs, etc. That were all there for the same goal of supporting the ecosystem. Great, that's a great goal. And then one of the things that was discussed during that meeting is like, hey, how do you define who helped better? Like, if one startup went through 3 programs, because they were incubated first on the idea stage, and then they went to another accelerator, and then they went to another program somewhere else, and then they're successful. So who is the one
who gets the biggest credits?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I personally think, but this is my human opinion, that it is wrong. Because if you're there for the help of the community, society, and ecosystem, you cannot really divide who gets the credit. Because if one startup is successful and it gets the support from 3, 5, 15 partners, everyone contributed in one way. Someone maybe contributed more, someone maybe contributed less. But in principle, if one company from one country succeeds, the whole ecosystem benefits. It's an ecosystem, the local ecosystem of that city, the larger ecosystem of that country, the larger ecosystem of that region, the larger ecosystem of that continent. It doesn't matter. So there are like success stories of Estonia, there are success stories of Latvia or Romania or something, but there are also success stories of Baltics, and then there are success stories of CEE as a region. So I might be answering your question in a very round way, but my idea is that if there is quality, if it's not just someone trying to make a program for a money for a startup, whatever, if there's someone who believes in what they do,
that's beneficial for the ecosystem.
It's always beneficial, and it doesn't matter if there's 100 small companies, small accelerators that are doing really high quality job. That's great. If there's three players that are doing really high quality job, it's probably tougher to get there, but it's still really good.
Since you shared that you had this interesting meeting with ecosystem players, I wanted to ask you, are you discussing when you're meeting with ecosystem players also not only the things that are working and the things that you should be doing more of, are you also discussing about what's lacking in the ecosystem and how you can get to to those resources that are lacking?
Yeah, definitely. But this is always lens. There are like usually the lacking part could be divided between that what you can do and what you can maybe influence and what you can maybe not influence. And there's a lot of things that are that is still within the influence of like lobbying parts that can be done better on the legislation levels on different countries, on the taxation levels in different countries, on the opening bank accounts in different countries. They are different. So you can raise the flags, you can be as an ecosystem rooting for that, but if it's a governmental change, then it takes an insane amount of time. And there are countries that are not moving or moving really slow. It's still there's still movement, but yeah, I do believe that the
How much
best.
would you say that in this context, in Europe, let's call it CE and Western European countries, we have countries that are more startup friendly and countries that are still not there in terms of dealing in a more smoother way with startups?
Yeah, no, of course it's still there, it still exists, and it's kind of defined by the attractiveness of the region or the country, by investment attractiveness and of the processes, how much it costs to open the company, how fast it is to open the company, how much capital you should have to have on the bank account to be able to operate. I don't know exactly per countries in general, but I know that in one country it should be, I don't know, the capital that you must have is like 5,000 euros, for example. In Estonia, it could be 1 cent or something. So, which is, yeah, so it's done, yeah, which is why, and I'm also, again, I'm biased because I know the Estonian ecosystem better because I'm based there, and I know that that's why there's a lot of international startups that are opening the companies in Estonia, because it's easier, faster, cheaper. It's kind of digital friendly. They still will eventually move the legal entities somewhere else if they want to attract larger money, but maybe on Series C, I don't know, B, C, D, etc. But there's still all the unicorns that are Estonian based are still have Estonian entities.
Zooming back in from the ecosystem back to what Startup Wise Guys is doing in Europe. Can you share with us a little bit what are your focus areas in terms of the industries of the startups that you're looking at, their level of maturity, some of the characteristics that you're looking for in founders when you're selecting them for your programs?
Yeah. So generally, we're a pre-seed B2B investor. Software, primarily software, but not always. Because we're a generalist, we can do different investments. We have the deep tech, we have hardware. In general, primarily we're focusing mostly on the software companies. In the next fund, we'll probably do a little bit more even of B2C, but more direct investments, not of the acceleration program, because accelerator as such is built for B2B. So for the B2C, there is room always to improve, just to learn the business rules, but the setup is for B2B. So it's pre-seed B2B software in general. We had verticals over the lifetime, over 13 years, where we had periodically focused the attention for some time, for a year or so. So over the verticals, the largest one that we have in the portfolio is fintech. Then we have cybersecurity, it's quite large, with the topping up with defense lately. But cybersecurity we opened it in 2019, so it was also quite long ago already. Okay, so fintech, cybersecurity, sustainability, as anything impact related, not necessarily green tech, very, very large. It was defined as from farm to fork. Yeah, so we had several programs.
And in terms of the type of founders that you're looking for?
We still believe in early stage founders bets. Many VCs are moving towards more mature startups, more mature founders. Of course, that's great. That's always great to have them. but we do believe that first-time founders still can do miracles, and we have proofs of that. We have a bunch of startups that were first-time founders but didn't know anything, but still built really good companies and got sold them.
It's kind of a bet against the
It is
trend.
a bet. It is a bet, yes. But also, we are in the riskiest part of the investment cycle. We are in the very early stage, and we are doing a lot of investments. So then we aim to take up to 50 to 60 investments per 1 year. So we also can do it. So we're targeting one of the best business models that's out there in VC in VC world is Y Combinator. We're really trying to do that, and Europe doesn't have that, or lack that, or there's still way to get there, and we would really want to be this first time early bet investor for the first time founders, or for the not necessarily super experienced founders. That's why we also still have the acceleration program as the educational component to help startups get the first level of the knowledge and get the companies going. But on the type of the founders that we're looking for, I think one of the most important things that I learned over 10 years that all the successful founders are super different. They can be short, they can be long, they can be male, they can be female, they can be blonde, dark, white, yellow, whatever it is. They can be anything. They can be with background in Harvard, with no school education, with like anything. And of course, there are like patterns that you have as a gut feeling that you kind of develop over time. But even those patterns are, if there would exist a one type of the founder that you know they will for sure succeed, everyone would be doing that. And the VC world will not be that risky. You would either really know that this is the one that will succeed, or you would become one because you know what to do. But eventually, there is a beautiful theory of chaos that means that there is no starting point. And whatever, if you take equal founders to do equal things and to do equal product, they will still have completely different results because there is no starting point of their background, of their, parents, education, friends, social society, countries, childhood, whatever, behavioral things. So it's really, really different.
Even a meeting at a conference like this can drastically change the pathway of a startup founder to success.
Absolutely. One of our first exits, actually, the founder was sharing that he sold his company as a success story because of the super random meeting. He went to a random conference, met a random person on the conference, who then introduced to another people, who then introduced to another people, who then introduced to another people, who eventually bought the company. So if he would not go to the
serendipity cycle.
But the founder is extremely good. He's extremely good. But one of his points was like, hey, life just happens.
So on this point, I want to go back to some of the statistics of our industry. I don't think there has been any entrepreneurship conference, any business conference that I haven't heard the famous statistic that 90% of the startups die. Looking at your portfolio so far, how much of this myth-like statistic gets actually confirmed in the real world with a portfolio like yours, or how much is it actually not confirmed in the real world?
I think generally speaking, it remains true, but define the dying out, right? So for instance, for us the survival rate in our portfolio is 75%. But which means that the company is active and operating on the market after 2 years after the investment.
Okay.
However, out of the 75% active companies, some of them will never be an exit. So they might transition into a lifestyle business. They might transition into a really small company that just covers the cost, etc. So not all 75% will be anyhow attractive to the
Let
VC.
alone become unicorns and
Exactly,
stuff.
exactly.
Yes.
But some might just be a good business, and then some
Can
might
you share
be
with us some of the success stories that Startup Wise guys had so far?
Yeah, out of the recent ones, there is an exit of the company called Adact. That's an Estonian company. It's a first-time founder. I really love the story, but in Estonia, probably everyone knows the story already. It's just very fresh. In Romania, I guess maybe not everyone. So it's a first-time founder who joined the accelerator with a hardware-related, gamification-related product that no one understood or no one felt any connection with. The founder was good, but like what he was building was like, well, whatever.
Okay.
First-time founder coming from no startup experience. He lost the first co-founder within the first month of the acceleration program. The second co-founder he lost over after. By the end of the acceleration program, they decided that they would not continue. He would support, but not continue as a
Okay.
co-founder, or maybe within the first 6 months. So very fast. So eventually, over first like half a year of the company life, there was like a lot of changes. Then they had to rewrite the whole product from scratch, to throw everything, etc. So eventually the company was sold. For us, it's a multiplier. It's not a unicorn, but it's a really good multiplier over the period of 5 years. We will return the money to LPs. We will get the money ourselves. And the founder eventually was a two people team. So
Wow.
and they were it's a for the founders it's a life-changing exit. For us it's not a life-changing, but we are still getting multiplier back in the money, and it's just 5 years, and it's a first-time founder with no experience, with nothing. He literally built the company within the acceleration program with the shaping the business knowledge, etc.
I want to make an important mention about the story that you just said, because you also shared the story with the struggles included.
Yeah.
And I think that, and you can confirm this even more than myself, because you're most probably talking to the media that writes about entrepreneurship all the time. This kind of stories with the struggles included, it's not the stories that common people want to be entrepreneurs usually read on the cover of the Entrepreneur magazine. We usually read about the so-called overnight successes that happen in a kind of seamless, smooth way, and we don't actually get into the struggles of the entrepreneurs so much. And I think that stories like the one that you told need to be told much more often, because people who are first-time founders, they need to hear about this. They need to understand what they're up against, what they're getting themselves into. And I find it super refreshing that you did that.
I think in general, I think we are moving. Maybe it's my bubble, but I do know that founders share their struggles. At least in my bubble, I see that it is happening. But what I think is a bit more media related, interesting, is that the articles that we see is that a startup raised $1 million. And then there are startups that are coming for us, applying to any fund, saying, hey, the competitor raised 10 million somewhere. It doesn't matter. And they say like, hey, but we're asking only for 200K or for 500K. It doesn't matter. One of the things there is that if you read the story of a fundraise of 5 million, whatever, you have no idea what is in that conditions in the legal agreement.
Yes.
You have no idea what is the
And
liquidation
not
preference.
even if 5 million is the actual
If
cash that
is
they
the
received in
actual
their bank
cash,
account.
or that's the buyout of the maybe not a buyout, but the conditions might be really tough, and they might be really with a low valuation. Maybe the valuation is right, but there's something that is.
So the story might not be as glamorous as a reader of the article might
So I think it's not even the sharing of the struggles which is important, but one of the things is that what you see in the media, you have no idea what's in the contract.
That's an interesting point,
And
useful point.
And you will never see the contract, ever, in your life, unless you are close friends with that entrepreneur particularly. Because the contracts are behind everything. So,
Alexandra, this has been such an insightful conversation. We thank you so much, and we actually have a challenge for you at the end of our episode. We want you to look into one of the cameras, that camera to the audience of Romanian startup founders. And I challenge you to give them a challenge, like a very pragmatic one, that they should actually do in the next few weeks in order for them to grow their startup.
Talk to as many customers, potential customers, as you can. As many. More than you put the KPI in your list and talk with more than that KPI.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. Thank you. That was super.